This is #history episode 74. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Leah.
And we have a lot going on in our state right now.
In our world. There's this last 2 weeks, I feel like, has been really rough.
Yes.
For everyone.
Yes.
As of the time of this recording, we have 4 large wildfires going on here in California. Mm-hmm. The Dixie Fire, which is now California's second largest fire in history, has, again, at the time of this recording this episode, burned more than 678,000 acres of land. Nearly 2,000 structures have been damaged, and the fire is only 35% contained. So this fire has been going on for nearly a month and a half now, and it's really, really devastating.
It really is. And then of the 4 fires going on right now, the closest one to us is, it started last week. It's the Caldor Fire, which has, at the time of this recording, burned over 65,000 acres of land, and it is currently 0% contained. This fire is about 80 miles from us, and one of the structures it destroyed is actually a church that my baby brother preached at, maybe 2 years ago, and I attended, and so that's just like extra devastating to know one of the structures that was destroyed in the fire.
It's up near where we call it Sly Park, which is where a lot of like kids in our area go to have their elementary school camping trips, and it's up near where I got married, very close to there. So it's an area that we're all very familiar with, and I think everybody has some like little connection to and stuff. So it's really sad, and there's a lot of people that are losing their homes and communities. So I wanted to share some ways that we can help.
Yes.
So we mentioned some of these on our Instagram recently. So the first one and the main one being the American Red Cross. You can easily donate online. I looked up on their website just to see like what specifically this donating goes to right now. Their recent response to the wildfires in California is really impressive. They basically like shelter people, they provide food, they connect people with resources. For example, just Wednesday night, this was an article that was posted. Wednesday night, the Red Cross and our partners cared for more than 610 Californians seeking refuge from wildfires in 21 emergency shelters and campuses. Since July, they've provided more than 6,000 overnight stays for people in need.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're doing some good. So definitely check them out and donate if you can.
Yeah, and then there was another one that you had mentioned on our Instagram.
Yeah, so Red Rover similarly is they do other things. It's not just wildfire relief, but they're helping provide temporary or in some cases permanent housing and rescue services for animals affected by the wildfires. Yeah, and the reason that one always touches my heart, and not just like household pets, but also like the animals living in the forest, is like they don't understand what's happening.
Yes.
And that's so devastating for me to think about.
Yes. And then the final place, this is one that I personally, I guess, feel connected to, is just donating blood. You can do that through Red Cross. I do mine through Vitalent, and I actually I have an appointment on Monday to go do plasma, because those are always really needed at times like this.
Yeah. So thank you for listening to our spiel. Hopefully you can donate. And if not, just keep the people who have lost their homes and communities in your hearts and your thoughts.
Yeah.
Right.
On that devastating note, honestly. Let's move on to today's topic, I guess.
I guess so.
Okay. This is kind of weird to switch gears right after that. Maybe we should just quit the episode. All right. So this week, I'm really excited about it because we are throwing this one all the way back to elementary school.
What?
Yeah. So I think a lot of the topics that we cover on the podcast are ones that people often say they don't remember learning about in school, or ones that they did learn about, but the details and the narrative has been, like rewritten or whitewashed.
Yeah.
But this week's topic, you've definitely heard of this in elementary school.
Yeah.
It's not a new, exciting topic. What this is a topic we have all learned about, we all know about, but how much do we really know?
Not a lot on my part. I know that.
I mean, how much do you retain from your basic education, and how much did you learn in your basic education about this?
Clearly not a lot.
Which is why this topic is on our list, because it's something that I've always known about, but I didn't know all the ins and outs and all that.
Yeah.
So here we are. Here he is.
Here he is.
Here he is. This week we are discussing Benedict Arnold, the OG traitor, who was a major general of the American Continental Army during the Revolutionary War, all before selling out and switching sides to join the British Army. And this wasn't just any old betrayal. Arnold had been given command of West Point under George Washington, who trusted him completely. And then, when his plans to surrender West Point to the British were foiled, he fled to British lines and would end up leading their army against the country he had just betrayed. So I think there is almost no better way to really summarize Benedict Arnold and his legacy than this example right here. I'm going to show you something.
Okay.
There is a statue that was erected in 1887 at the monumental site of the Saratoga battlefield that is dedicated, quote, in memory of the most brilliant soldier of the Continental Army who was desperately wounded on this spot, winning for his countrymen the decisive battle of the American Revolution and for himself the rank of Major General, unquote. So let's check out the picture of that statue.
Okay.
So, like, what do you see?
It's a boot on a fire hydrant? Like, what is it? I'm sorry, I don't know.
I guess my primary question is, do you see on this monument that we're looking at any dedication or indication as to whose boot that could be?
Nope.
Yeah, that would be because although he be the, quote, most brilliant soldier of the Continental Army, and though he be one of the primary reasons Americans won the Battle of Saratoga, which was an absolutely monumental victory, Benedict Arnold goes down as one of the most hated men in American history, and we wouldn't dare mention him by name on this monument that is quite literally dedicated to him.
Nice.
That it's a boot.
It's a boot.
With no name on it.
Love it.
Dedicated to he who shall not be named.
Really?
Really.
Really.
We have so much to get into with this episode, so let's get into our drink first.
I concur.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Leah.
And this is Hashtag History,
the podcast for both history nerds and history haters alike,
where we dive into history's greatest stories of controversy, conspiracy, and corruption.
Okay. So firstly, we have to thank Miss Krista, who sponsored this week's cocktail. She sent us a message saying, quote, love the podcast, make mine with gin, please. So while I am disinclined to acquiesce that request, I feel like since you are buying this one, we must abide.
Yes, I guess so. Thank you, Krista.
Yeah, so today's cocktail is a gin mule.
Yay!
I struggled to find a drink that contained gin and also connected to our topic today, Mr. Benedict Arnold. And then I came across the gin mule, which, like, what's another name for a mule? An ass, which is what he was. So voila.
That was great.
Sorry.
It's perfect. That was great.
Okay.
And also, I mean, other than the funny pun, a mule is your favorite drink?
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Minus the gin part.
Minus the gin. Honestly, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So just like any other mule, it usually contains some fresh muddled mint, lime juice, simple syrup, ginger beer, and then top it off with gin. So I don't have a specific recipe, 2 ounces of this, but just find a mule recipe and make it with gin.
I'm so excited, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Cheers.
Ready?
You've tried to drink this about 12 times already.
I stopped myself, though. It never touched my lips.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
There's 2 ounces of gin in there.
Smoother than a Kentucky Mule. I think whiskey has more of a punch.
Yeah.
Right?
And then more of a little floral note to it, which gin. So, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. Nothing, well, I was going to say there's nothing to dislike, but there is. Gin.
But you actually don't taste it.
No, I don't.
So I'm going to rate this one as a 10.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, well, good job, Miss Krista.
Yeah, thanks for the recommendation.
That was great. So, who was Benedict Arnold? For one, he was like kind of hot.
I need to see the picture.
We're going to look at a picture. We will. We will look at a picture. So he had dark black hair and like almost translucent eyes.
Ooh, yeah.
He was super fit with a natural athletic build and was said to be super charismatic. Are you laughing at me because I wrote his dating profile for him? Well, see, and the thing is, okay, so we are about to look at a picture.
Yeah.
And everything I just said is not true when we look at the picture. But what I would say about this picture is it's always hard to judge people's appearances in older pictures because, number one, the quality.
Yeah.
A change in beauty standards over
sure.
time.
Yeah.
And then particularly with these older ones, this is before photography. So they're drawn. So sometimes they're drawn shitty, or sometimes they're drawn to exaggerate bad features, exaggerate good features, just kind of depending on the purpose of the photo. So I said he's super hot.
By their standards. Maybe not by ours. Here we go.
You decide.
It's a profile pic, which like a side profile pic, which might not be the most flattering of angles
because of the double chin.
There's a double chin, and then you also see the like nose shape.
It's long.
It's long. It's protruding a lot. So there's that. And then he's wearing the fake wig thing that everybody wore back then. It just doesn't do it for me.
All that aside, though, he wasn't awful looking.
No, I'm sure he had a lovely personality.
Actually, we'll find out he so did not.
Oh, great.
He totally did not.
Well, they said he was described as charismatic,
that
right?
doesn't mean you're a good personality. So, having put that aside, Benedict Arnold was born on January 14th, 1741 in the Connecticut colony as the second of 6 children. As was common, but no less devastating at the time, only Arnold and one of his sisters would survive to adulthood due to a terrible bout of yellow fever that struck the family.
That's why people had so many kids back then, man.
Arnold's mother, whom he had been close to, was rather wealthy, which initially established Arnold well. It's weird to say Arnold's his last name, but Arnold. It totally sounds like I'm just,
Arnold.
It sounds like we're on a first name basis, but I am referring to him by his last name.
Yeah.
His mom being wealthy initially established Arnold well at the private school he attended in Connecticut, and it set him up to later attend Yale. But following the deaths of his siblings, Arnold's father turned to alcoholism and essentially squandered the family wealth. Arnold was pulled from school and ended up becoming an apprentice at the apothecary of some of his mother's cousins. When his mother died of yellow fever in 1759, it was essentially Arnold's responsibility to manage the household of his super drunk father, who was constantly getting arrested, and his young sister, Hannah. Despite joining the militia in the French and Indian War, Arnold maintained his position at the apothecary and continued to support the family this way until his father's death in 1761. So, not the best of childhoods.
Yeah.
Within the next few years, he had established a super successful general store of his own in New Haven. He brought his sister Hannah along with him as his assistant here. Through the proceeds he made in this business, he was able to pay off family debts. He flipped the family home and sold it for a huge profit, and he bought 3 trading ships. So, flexing.
That actually is a big flex.
That's called the come up. It was also during this time that Arnold became a bit of a smuggler. This was during the time of the Sugar Act of 1764 and the Stamps Act of 1765, both of which imposed taxes on the American colonies as a means of generating revenue for the British. As a result, many American businessmen, including Mr. Benedict Arnold, began smuggling untaxed goods such as molasses or rum. There's actually this story that apparently there was a man that had intended to go to the authorities to snitch on Arnold for his smuggling, and when Arnold learned of this, he and his buddies beat the guy up. Arnold was fined 50 shillings, the equivalent of more than $1,000 in today's money, for beating the guy up, but this 50 shillings was a mere fraction of the fine Arnold would have owed had his smuggling activities been revealed to the authorities. So, worth it?
Yeah. I mean, if you have no morals, yeah.
If you have no morals, yeah. Yeah. Because, I don't condone physical violence or smuggling. But I do tell this specific story to highlight that Arnold was both clever and money motivated, a theme that's going to follow him throughout his life.
Nice.
It was during this time that Arnold became much more vocal about his political views. He joined the Sons of Liberty, an underground operation made up of other colonists fighting against taxation by the British. Other notable Sons of Liberty members include Paul Revere, Samuel Adams, John Hancock, and Patrick Henry.
I feel like all of those guys have like beards
I was thinking
named
the
after
same thing.
them.
right as I read it again, I was like, did I do that on purpose? It's like we could have gone several ways with this cocktail.
Yeah.
While he's in the midst of all these legal, financial, and political troubles, you know what sounds like a super good idea, something to do?
What?
Get married.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get married.
Yeah.
On February 22nd, 1767, Arnold married a woman named Margaret Mansfield. They would have 3 sons before Margaret would die less than 10 years into their marriage in 1775. He would learn of her death only about 2 months or so into his service in the Continental Army, and he was absolutely devastated.
Oh, so it was actually love.
They loved each other.
Oh.
Like I mentioned only moments ago, Arnold was a pretty vocal guy and made his feelings known. When the Boston Massacre occurred on March 5th, 1770, in which American colonists and British soldiers stationed in Boston fought a deadly battle in the street, Arnold cried, "Good God, are the Americans all asleep and tamely giving up their glorious liberties? Or are they all turned philosophers that they don't take immediate vengeance on such miscreants?" Shortly thereafter, the Revolutionary War began, and Arnold was ready to go.
1776.
I wanted to say the next line, but I don't remember now.
New York City.
That is not the only Hamilton reference in this episode.
Okay, good.
So if you've listened to our episode about Operation Mincemeat, which if you haven't, you really should, because that ended up being one of my favorite topics we've ever covered. But if you have listened to it, you may recall my saying that tactical war stuff and particular battles and whatnot are like my least favorite part about researching history.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it goes in one ear and out the other. I'm just being honest. So as we weave in and out of various battles, I'm going to be very honest that I will not be talking about all the tactical details. Rather, I'm just going to be covering the petty drama.
I dig it. I love it. Yeah, no, I've never thought of myself as being into the tactical stuff either, but I realized 2 of my takeover episodes have been very much like tactical stuff. Mincemeat and then Jacobite.
That literally was a battle.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Wow.
Weird, right?
Interesting. Perhaps any future episodes that relate to like where the battle tactical information is important, you get to research that component of the episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
If I had just handed you half this episode, like, can you research from 1776 to like 1781? That would be amazing. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I'm your girl if you
Strictly
ever need
the battles. Thank you. So Arnold began his career in the American Revolution as a captain in the New Haven militia. He requested permission from the Massachusetts Committee of Safety to lead a group of men in capturing Fort Ticonderoga. And here's where the pettiness begins.
Love it.
He was granted permission to lead troops in a campaign to seize the fort, but was met by Ethan Allen, military leader and one of the founders of Vermont, and the group of men he led called the Green Mountain Boys, which, interesting side fact, the Vermont National Guard still unofficially refers to themselves as the Green Mountain Boys.
Interesting.
They ended up accomplishing the mission of capturing the fort together, but it pissed Arnold off that Allen did not acknowledge that Arnold had technically been the one given permission to seize the fort and that he technically should have been the one leading the campaign.
Okay. Sounds kind of like something I would be pissed off about. But.
I mean, like, I'm rolling my eyes and you're like, yeah, that's super hurtful.
No, like in hindsight, it's like, yeah, that's stupid. Get the over it.
Yeah, I mean, but we say all the time, put in your, like, the people in history that we talk about, like, I can understand
I
why
would be
someone
like,
would be upset.
Bitch.
Yeah. But then also looking at Arnold, he kind of looks like a bitch.
Yeah.
For being like butthurt about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Get over it.
Yeah, if I was also on the other side of it, I'd be like, okay, we won this one, so
calm down. You'll get your sticker later.
Yeah.
Arnold was passed over again for a leadership opportunity in June of 1775 when the Continental Congress authorized the invasion of Quebec, which was an idea that had partially originated with Arnold, and gave the leadership role to General Philip Schuyler instead. Yes, that Philip Schuyler.
Oh. The Schuyler sisters.
Angelica.
Eliza.
And Peggy. There will be a Peggy later. Not that Peggy, but a Peggy.
It must have been a common name in 1776.
Battle of Yorktown.
New York City. Right? Isn't that?
I don't remember. Arnold proposed another attack on Quebec to General George Washington. Yes, that George Washington.
Okay.
Just kidding about that one. He was granted permission to do so and given an army of over 1,000 men to carry out this expedition. The expedition proved to be a failure, though. As they battled through a blizzard to reach their destination, 200 of the men would die along the journey, and 300 of the men would desert the mission altogether.
Jesus.
During the attack on Quebec City on December 31st, 1775, the other leader of this attack, Richard Montgomery, would be killed, and Arnold himself would suffer a devastating loss. His leg was essentially crushed underneath his horse, and he was bleeding so profusely that he was carried away from the battlefield and unable to continue in the fight.
Is that why the boot? Because it got cut off?
Well, yes-ish. Remind me again.
I was
later.
joking, but okay.
No, I mean, there is relevance to, like, the boot monument is because his leg was injured.
Okay.
But you wouldn't know that because his name's not on the statue. Yeah. So, the Battle of Quebec would be marked as the first major defeat for the Americans during the Revolutionary War. Despite this disaster, Arnold was promoted to the position of Brigadier General and was well respected by George Washington.
That George Washington,
not to be confused with the other one.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Natalie.
And I'm Cass.
And we're the hosts of Shared History,
a comedic history podcast exploring the stories of the often overlooked or underrepresented.
The people and events your history books may have glossed over, whitewashed, man-washed, or left out completely.
From the Mayan creation myth to the Deaf President Now movement of the 1980s.
From ancient scientist Avicenna to first female principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, Wilma Mankiller.
If you saw it in a footnote once,
or have never heard of it,
we're here to share it with you.
Join us in a rotating guest list featuring scholars, writers, teachers, entertainers, entrepreneurs, subject matter experts, and more.
Tune in to Shared History on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, you know the drill.
And follow us at Shared Pod on Instagram and Twitter.
And as always,
share you later.
Okay, so let's fast forward a bit through, like, the boring battle stuff. Arnold, he would, go on to lead a few more successful campaigns throughout 1776. Even still, he didn't feel appreciated nor 1776.
Battle of... I don't know. We're going to have to listen to it.
I know. Even still, he didn't feel appreciated nor recognized for all he had done. In fact, he was extra salty as he watched officer after officer ranked beneath him get promoted above him.
I mean, I'd be salty.
Yes. This one to me is like, I unfortunately have been in that position, right?
Yeah.
Where, like, you watch someone that isn't deserving of the position, that's been there less time than you, but because of nepotism generally, or, just other kind of favoritism or whatnot, people getting promoted above you, but also, like, Benedict Arnold, he doesn't get along with anybody. So perhaps there are other reasons for it too.
Yeah.
Perhaps you have a bad attitude in the workplace, and perhaps that's why you're not getting promoted.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing out suggestions. Possibilities.
Just thoughts.
Possibilities. Come in for your yearly review. I'll tell you all about it. So in light of this, he was super dramatic, and he quit the Continental Army in 1777, only to rejoin again at the insistence of his buddy, good old George Washington.
That George Washington.
Yes, that one. Arnold made a bold move during the Battle of Saratoga, upon which he defied the orders of General Horatio Gates. Arnold and Gates already disliked each other, surprise, surprise, because there was petty drama between them, and Gates had removed Arnold from a command position. Even still, Arnold disobeyed orders and led attacks on British forces and would ultimately lead the British to surrender at Saratoga on October 17th, 1777. The Battle of Saratoga is considered to be one of the largest American victories during the Revolutionary War, as this was the battle that ultimately convinced the French to fight alongside the Americans. And much of the success of this battle, and therefore the ultimate success of the war, is owed to Arnold. It was during the Battle of Saratoga, however, that Arnold would be shot in his left leg, the same leg that had been crushed just 2 years prior in the Battle of Quebec. And that's the boot monument is at the site of the Saratoga battlefield.
Got it.
These injuries would leave him with a limp, and a subsequent surgery would leave him with a leg that was 2 inches shorter than the other for the rest of his life.
That probably is causing some severe back issues.
Oh my gosh. Back, hip, mental. Because of his contributions to the success of this battle, Congress returned Arnold's leadership position to him. But instead of accepting this, like, with humility, he He instead saw it as Congress just feeling sorry for him because he had been injured. He still did not believe he was being recognized for all his hard work.
Okay, that's stupid.
That's what I'm saying. There is always a human element to, like, it does suck to get passed up over and over for leadership positions or whatnot. But also,
when you get it, like, don't accept it.
Yeah.
Come on, Benny.
As he continued to recover from his injuries, which essentially made it impossible for him to serve in a command position out on the battlefield, Washington instead appointed him to the position of military governor of Philadelphia in 1778. Historian John Shai is quoted as saying of this decision, if you don't mind reading it, Leah, it's kind of a long quote, but this is a historian's perspective on Washington making the decision to appoint Benedict Arnold to such a high position.
Okay. Washington then made one of the worst decisions of his career, appointing Arnold as military governor of the rich, politically divided city. No one could have been less qualified for the position. Arnold had amply demonstrated his tendency to become embroiled in disputes, as well as his lack of political sense. Above all, he needed tact, patience, and fairness in dealing with a people deeply marked by months of enemy occupation.
One thing we know about Arnold is that he was money hungry. As one officer that Arnold had a disagreement with during the war would say of Arnold, quote, "Money is this man's god, and to get enough of it, he would sacrifice his country."
A little foreshadowing there.
A little foreshadowing there. So he was involved in some shady financial deals, taking advantage of the change in political powers within Philadelphia, so much so that he would end up being court-martialed in May 1779 for these dealings. He was eventually acquitted of all but 2 charges of using government transport for his own financial gain. It's speculated that Arnold got off so easily because, as Lin-Manuel Miranda says, it must be nice, it must be nice to have Washington on your side.
Did we just accidentally harmonize?
You always harmonize.
I know. I was like, yeah, it was an accident, Rachel.
Except you physically can't sing the melody.
I don't think I can.
It pains you to sing the melody.
This is hard.
Even still, Washington did publicly reprimand Arnold. In response to that, Arnold wrote Washington, quote, "Having become a cripple in the service of my country, I little expected to meet ungrateful returns." What a bitch, right? What a bitch. Now, it wasn't long before this when Arnold, who was 37 years old at this point, met Anne Peggy Shippen, who was 18. Take a drink every time there's a Hamilton reference?
I mean, you'd be shit-faced by now.
Join the club. Age is not the only alarming thing about Miss Peggy Shippen. Perhaps the even more alarming detail about this young lady is the fact that she was the daughter of a loyalist-leaning, incredibly influential and affluent father. And for anyone needing the context, loyalist refers to those during the Revolutionary War that remained loyal to the British crown and disagreed with declaring American independence. Prior to dating Arnold, Shippen had been dating a British major named John Andre, whose connections allowed her to continue communications with other loyalist-leaning friends and other British soldiers. So Peggy Shippen was clearly loyalist-leaning herself.
Yeah.
And the reason why I don't say explicitly that she or her family were loyalist is because, like, loyalists weren't allowed in Philadelphia at this time. Like, and gatherings of loyalists weren't allowed. So, yes, they had friends in the British Army. Yes, all of their acquaintances were in the British Army. But were they, like, outright having, gatherings where they were going to take down the American Revolution? No.
Yeah. Or like supporting.
Yeah, not outwardly supporting.
Yeah.
But like all of their friends are loyalists.
Got it.
If you are interested in learning more about Peggy Shippen, because she is like such a fascinating person in and of herself, our friends over at Herstory on the Rocks covered her in their episode 92. So go check that out. Arnold wrote to Shippen's father and told him that he had no expectation of a dowry, that he was wealthy enough on his own to take care of his daughter, even though this was totally not the case.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, I don't expect anything from you.
But a gift card to Bed Bath & Beyond would be an amazing wedding gift. Thank you.
No gifts at my birthday party. Please, no gifts.
Please, no gifts. Despite the fact that Arnold lived a lavish lifestyle, he was in debt. He had told Shippen's father that he would prove to him that he had the means to take care of his daughter by purchasing a home before marrying her. And that he did. In fact, he purchased a mansion on nearly 100 acres, but he had to take out a giant loan in order to do this. This did the trick, though, and on April 8th, 1779, the two were married. They would eventually have 5 children together. Arnold continued to draw speculation from the people of Philadelphia, not only because of his marriage to an ultra-young, ultra-non-patriot, but also because of the extravagance at which he lived his life. He went to the theater despite the fact that the Continental Congress disapproved of enjoying entertainment like that. He purchased expensive property, and he was also known to allow loyalist citizens within his city to visit their other loyalist friends, something that I already touched on patriots would not allow.
Yeah.
It was shortly thereafter that Arnold began to flip sides. So I think we can look to a number of potential motivators for this decision, right? There's certainly the jealousy and disrespect that Arnold felt for not receiving the recognition he believed he deserved as he watched younger, lower-ranking colleagues of his get promoted. There is also the overall bitterness and depression that I assume he felt as being a washed-up war hero who could barely walk. At this point, his left leg was essentially non-functioning, and gout had begun to attack his good leg, his right leg.
Oh, no.
I know. Perhaps it was all money motivated, though. Arnold was in debt, and as we will soon learn, what he was willing to trade to the British would come at a hefty price. I also think he's still annoyed about being court-martialed. He clearly does not have the trust of his people. In fact, when Patriots began searching the city for loyalists, he requested security for himself and his family, and Congress was like, nah, bro. And finally, we have to consider the coincidental timing of Arnold switching sides so shortly after marrying his loyalist-leaning bride.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Arnold would become disillusioned with the idea of revolution and felt that he would be better appreciated and compensated if he worked for the British. So, by the end of 1779, Arnold was in communications with the British. He was formulating a plan to surrender West Point, of which he had just been given command of by George Washington.
That one. that George Washington.
He was willing to give it over to the British in exchange for £20,000 and an annual general's commission. For a long time following his betrayal, Arnold's wife would be looked upon with sympathy as the poor, unknowing, unfortunate bystander. But with time, the truth has been revealed. Because the way in which Arnold was exchanging messages with the British was through none other than Shippen's ex, John Andre, who had recently been promoted to the rank of British Spy Chief.
Huh.
That's a real title.
They changed a lot between the Revolutionary War and World War II when it was like Brigadoon Command General of the North Sea of Westchester, Pennsylvania. Like, I don't know. Like, it was long titles, and this is just British Spy Chief.
Yeah, a child put these titles together, and that one you need a 2-sided business card for. Mm-hmm. Not only had Shippen made the introductions and established the relationship between Arnold and Andre, she also oftentimes was the physical middleman in delivering these messages. Arnold would write letters to Shippen revealing confidential tactical information, sometimes written in code, sometimes written in invisible ink, and Shippen would, accidentally make sure these letters that had been addressed to her would end up in the hands of Andre. These letters contain significant details about West Point. It's important to note just how much authority Arnold had by being in command over West Point. He was slowly but surely intentionally weakening the fort by ensuring troops were stationed elsewhere, even when they were super short-handed at the fort, that supplies needed for necessary repairs never reached the fort, and what supplies the fort did have, many accused Arnold of selling them off for profit. But on September 23rd, 1780, while crossing enemy lines, Andre was captured. And on him, he had the letters that revealed that Arnold was a traitor. These letters were then forwarded on to Washington. According to historical records, Washington wasn't particularly fazed by the betrayal, and he even ensured that Shippen would be able to safely travel with Arnold as he fled to safety on British lines.
I just, warfare was weird. Back then. Yeah. It was very, respectful.
Well, I mean, I think it's war.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take it personally.
Yeah.
It's war. I mean, I would take that hella personally.
Oh, for sure.
Andre was hanged only a few days later on October 2nd. Arnold would shortly thereafter attempt to explain himself in a letter he published titled, "To the Inhabitants of America." This letter essentially said that Arnold was entirely justified in his actions because the Revolutionary War was, stupid. He said colonists were justified in fighting back at the British due to their grievances, but that once they had remedied that, there was no need to declare independence and to separate from the British crown. Similar to what we would call today a Facebook comment or a retweet and reply, Arnold's letter received several published responses in the newspaper. I would summarize all these responses as everyone giving Arnold a giant eye roll.
Yeah.
So what became of Arnold after he defected? He did receive the promised annual general's commission, but he received only a small fraction of the 20,000 pounds he had originally been promised since, his grand scheme had failed.
Yeah.
He commanded a couple of battles during the remainder of the Revolutionary War as a British officer, where he again was totally passed over and ignored time and time again by now the British Army.
Grass isn't always greener,
and
Arnold.
I think that speaks to his personality.
Yeah.
Following the war, which obviously ended in a victory for America, in case you didn't know, Arnold... Surprise! Spoiler alert. Arnold and his family moved to England. His later life was, of course, filled with controversy and corruption. He was engaged in numerous business deal disputes and lawsuits. After 4 days of delirium, Arnold died on June 14th, 1801, at the age of 60, leaving his wife in substantial debt.
Delirium, is that just like you're out of it?
Yeah, and they think it was likely because his, the gout was so bad, the other leg was so miserable. Just after, so much time of being sick and miserable, he went through 4 days of just being totally out of it before passing away.
Okay.
That sounds like a really slow, awful death.
Yeah.
He would be buried without any military honors, as most of Britain hated him too. They considered him fickle and the reason why their beloved John Andre had been executed. And that's Benedict Arnold. Did you learn anything you didn't previously know?
I didn't know. All I knew was he was a traitor.
Still is.
Yeah. So that's all I knew. I didn't know any of the details. I didn't know any of them. So yeah, that's good to know. I would just like to say, hey, Arnold.
Hey, Arnold.
Hey, Arnold. You're a dick.
What did she say? Football head?
Stupid.
You're a dick, Benedict. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Hashtag History.
We will share the pictures that we discussed on the episode to our Instagram, and all sources used to put together the episode can be found on our website at hashtaghistory-pod.com.
Subscribe to us on whatever podcast platform you use, share about us with your family and friends, and then give us a rate and review.
And circling back to Instagram, be sure to check us out on there at #history_podcast. And we've also started a TikTok, which I have not been keeping up on.
How can we? We are too old.
Right. Yeah.
We're too old.
So check us out on there. We're at #history, all one word.
And then come join us over on Patreon. It's only $1 a month, and that goes directly to supporting the podcast. You get access to behind-the-scenes content. We have weekly #hangout episodes, and we mail you cards and stickers.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's good times.
It is good times. It's really fun.
All right.
Our drinks are gone.
They are.
Let's record another episode.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. So good.
The little things. And Arnold himself would suffer a devastating loss. Did you hear that?
What the fuck was that?
That was disgusting.
It's like
I still can't believe I tried to go in your closet. I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay. Don't be a dick, Benedict. Don't be a Benedict.
yeah.
It's because I had to say it so many times.
Yeah, if you had just said it right out the gate,
we would have been rolling laughing.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
As he continued to recover, the thing with meals though is they are kind of hard on the throat because of the ginger beer.
Oh, this ginger beer is so f***ing spicy too.
I love it, but it's hard to talk.
Yeah. It makes you phlegmy. I got phlegmy when I said that. Arnold had amply... Whoa, that was hard for me. You're a Benedict.
You're a Benedict.
It landed that time.
It landed.
Did it? It didn't.
No, it landed.
Okay.
It landed.